A number of people, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Mitch Protection Program, Romney, Hillary Rodham Clinton. There are a whole lot of people with a lot of power in America. And CNN and MSNBC and New York Times, Washington Post. And Trump is now really become, it has been given to him to become a monarchy, albeit an evil one. And Sam Donaldson, who was America's favorite newscaster for many years on CNN the other night, I'm going to let you hear some of the things he said, and especially the point where he says that Trump is a sick and an ignorant man. Roll that clip, Mr. Engineer.
Your career obviously speaks for yourself. You've held candidates, presidents on both parties. You've held their feet to the fire. Why endorse Bloomberg, and why now?
Well, because I think Mike Bloomberg is best suited to take on Donald J. Trump this November and beat him. And that's something I think is very important for the country. You're right. When I was a working reporter in Washington for 52 years, I never did anything like this. I never gave any money to candidates. I didn't even register for a political party. But when they threw me out at age 80, 6 years ago, I was free to do this. And I think it's very important now. We are in the grip, Anderson, of a sick, ignorant man. He's mean, he's corrupt. And if we don't get this right, we may lose the things that have made this country the best place to live in the world, and that shining city on the hill that Ronald Reagan used to talk about, which was the envy of the world. So I'm in it.
Mike Bloomberg, as you know, obviously didn't compete in Iowa or in New Hampshire. I talked to Bernie Sanders the other day, not only who's concerned about him being a billionaire, of course, then Sanders is saying he's trying to basically buy the election and that he hasn't spent the months on the ground in Iowa and New Hampshire and doing the work that everybody else who's running for the nomination has done.
Well, yes, unfortunately, money buys elections. And thanks to Citizens United, the Supreme Court case, everybody's money can get in and do so. Bloomberg is putting his own money in. He's not going to be beholden to anybody when he wins this race. On the other side, Mr. Trump is getting money from Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, and that's okay, in Las Vegas, and other fat cats. So he's got a big war chest. And Bloomberg has a big war chest. And I'd rather have Bloomberg's money than their money, okay?
And how do you address the past record of Mike Bloomberg as mayor? Certainly, there's been a lot of questions raised about his support for stop and frisk, the comments he made about it, about throwing people up against the wall. As late as 2018, he was speaking favorably about stop and frisk. He's since apologized, but there's a lot of people, obviously, who are skeptical about that.
That's right. And Mike Bloomberg made a mistake. He says he made a mistake. He was convinced that somehow we had to reduce the murder rate in New York City, which was affecting minority communities, frankly, more than some other parts of the city. And he was persuaded, wrongly he says, that this stop and frisk business might help. I don't know whether it helped or not, but he finally has decided that no, not only did it not help that much, but it made victims of people who were innocent. And it was not constitutional, as a matter of fact. You've got to have probable cause, kids. And he said, I'm sorry, I apologize, I was wrong. How many people do that? Well, we all make mistakes, but I know that a lot of people think you can't trust him now. There's a very prominent New York Times columnist who wrote that you can't trust him now, look what he did. Well, as Harry Truman said, let's look at the record that Mike has in supporting minorities, women, and people in need, not just when he was running for president, but for many years. In New York, for instance, he began to launch the Young Man's Initiative in 2011, which helped men of color, black men particularly, and their problems. And that led, I'm told, and I have it right down here, to President Obama's My Brother's Keepers Initiative. Now, there's an organization in this country that for years has tried to help women and minorities buy businesses, get into business. And Mike has for years and years supported that organization. And he's grown contracts there by over $3.5 billion.
And you think he really has a shot?
Wait a moment. Can I just continue? I'm just on a roll here, but I won't do it too long. $5 million to Stacey's initiative in Georgia.
I'm trying to make a point
she
here.
might be governor today if the vote had been counted properly, but it wasn't. And now she has his money to help her. I could go on, but I get your point. I've gone on too long, but if you look at his record.
No, but the point of it is that Bloomberg and Sam Donaldson has endorsed Bloomberg. Bloomberg has $61 billion in his war chest and his personal earnings over the years. How he got all that money, I don't know. I got to tell you that anybody who's got that kind of money has got to be a deceitful and lying and person who's capable of great greed and great selfishness. That having been said, then he's in a category with most politicians. I think anybody who want to be president has got to have an extraordinary ego, greed, and also, just a very diabolical person. But Sam Donaldson called Trump an ignorant, sick man. Sick he is. There's no doubt about that. There's a sick man and a lot of sickos that follow him. But here's another thing, a twist I heard over the weekend, potentially that Bloomberg will announce that Hillary Clinton will be his running mate. And you know what that will do if Hillary Clinton becomes Bloomberg's running mate? It'll give Hillary a second bite at the apple. And I'm wondering if Bloomberg is thinking, I really don't want to be president, but I got the money, I can run, I can beat Trump, I can have Hillary as my vice president, and I can resign and just leave the office over to Hillary. Is he thinking about really running, having Hillary as his vice president? Think about this for just a second. First of all, it'd be a very powerful move because a lot of people feel remorse that they did not vote for Hillary. Put that picture back up again, Mr. J. They feel remorse that they didn't vote for Hillary, right? They feel that they should have. Had they done so, we wouldn't be suffering with this sick, ignorant, tyrannical, pathological degenerate, this liar, this con man, this coochie grabber, Trump, if they'd just gotten out and voted for Hillary. So Bloomberg could be onto something here as a second bite at the apple by running for president himself and having Hillary as his vice president and just turning everything over to her. This could be a phenomenon. And I'll tell you, it'll be a winning ticket that nobody can defeat. I'm not for either one of these people, as you very well know. But think about that for just a second. If Bloomberg, and he's rising in the polls, and if he chooses Hillary as his running mate, she'll get a second chance to slap Trump. People who did not vote, you've heard me, you heard what I said. This would be something quite phenomenal. And Bloomberg has got the money. He don't need to ask anybody for a dime. He got the money to do it. Let's see what happens as the days go forward, that Hillary would be the vice president, be elected as vice president. That'd be very close to having Hillary as president. And he may just resign and give it to her. This is intriguing. I want to follow up on this. Will Bloomberg choose Hillary as his running mate? That'll scare the bejeebers out of Trump supporters. They won't know what to do. The sewers will be filled with diarrhea in the Southern Baptist churches. If Hillary gets that close to the president again, you mean lock her up? Lock her up as now vice president? Can you imagine what would happen to Franklin Graham? Can you imagine what would happen to all the Southern Baptists if lock her up became vice president? Good Lord have mercy. I'm not for there, but I sure would love to see what would happen on that wise. It'll give me a whole lot to talk about here on the Madden Report. Madden Report been dull because ain't nobody here. But no, I'll keep you posted on this. Hillary Clinton as vice president, and she'll have a chance to run again in the campaign. She'll have a voice and a microphone and a camera and newspapers following her so she can talk about Trump. Oh, woo! You ain't seen nothing like this. Does Bloomberg plan to do this? Does he plan to do this? I'm waiting to see what the deal gonna be. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Madden Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.